All right. Somebody who loves, somebody who sees, somebody who consoles, somebody is me. I'm not in your ghost, I'm not in your dreams. I'm easy to love, if only to see. We wave goodbye to our past, set our hearts to what's next. We wander vacant roads, past the countless saints. Our destination show. This is not the end. We'll go to tiny roads until the path begins. Ooh. 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 Call to your head, call to your heart. I wasn't dead, we wouldn't be apart. I can't wait to see, can't wait to feel. Needn't be there, but I'm still right here. We wave goodbye to our past and our hearts to what's next. We go to vacant roads, past the countless sins. Our destination show. This is not the end. We'll go to tiny roads until the path begins. Ooh. Ooh. Two, three, four. desert with the ceiling guard. Match your heartbeats to the radio. Talk of all the things we wanna. Then hold each other till the break of dawn. On and on and on. 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 Past the desert with the ceiling guard. Match your heartbeats to the radio. Talk of all the things we wanna. And hold each other till the break of dawn. On and on and on. On and on and on. On and on and on. Drift off into space where I can't see your face. We'll lift off into the air, and I will meet you there. Oh no, God. Oh no, God. Oh no, God. Oh no, God. Oh How's everybody doing out there? We are Immortal Girlfriend. My name is Will. This is my brother, Kevin. We're coming live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We wish we could be in person with you guys, but we can't, unfortunately. But we hope you're all doing well out there and staying healthy. This next song is a song called Ride off our EP, Ride EP, which just came out. Okay, I got a friend. She said, "Can you give me a ride? Tell me when you're ready to drive." And she sinks in to go away, and you're there for another day. Tell me when you're ready to ride. She said, "Can you give me a ride? Tell me when you're ready to drive." And she sinks in to go away, and you're there for another day. Tell me when you're ready to ride. Tell me when you're ready to ride. She said, can you give me a ride? Tell me when you're ready to drive. And she said to go away, and you're there for another day. Tell me when you're ready to ride. 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 And she said to go away, and you're there for another day. Tell me when you're ready to ride. Tell me when you're ready to ride. Tell me when you're ready to ride. Oh man. Thank you guys. This is cool. This is a virtual show. This is our second virtual show. We have one more song for you guys, if that's cool.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be out of here.
And just to touch base with everybody, so Immortal Girlfriend is going to rock and roll, and we'll be starting at 6:30 with the pitch competition.
Pulling me in and peeping me out. I can't admit I had my doubts. A shot to my heart. I never expect. You gave me life back from the dead. I'm the perfect man. You're not there. Help me understand. What's the purpose? If you and me, what would you say? Perfect pretense to cast your shade. I can't recall time from before. You were the one who needed more. I'm the perfect man. I'm not there. Tell me understand. What's the purpose? When I'm alone, you're here with me. I can feel you breathing. The dawn and sun will heal your pain. Till you come back home to me. I'm a perfect man. And I'm not there. Help me understand. What's the purpose? I'm a perfect man. Living on nothing. We understand. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. We're Immortal Girlfriend. Check us out on social media. Have a good evening. Take care.
Awesome. Let's hear a big virtual round of applause for Immortal Girlfriend. That was awesome. So whether this is your first time here at a Founders Live event, this is our first Founders Live Minneapolis virtual event, and we are super lucky to have the founder of Founders Live, Nick Hughes, joining us all the way from Seattle. Nick, thanks for joining.
Hello, Dick. How you doing?
We're doing awesome. The whole board and our community, we're just super stoked for tonight. We've got 5 startups that are lined up that some of them have been waiting to pitch since March. So they were queued up for our March event that we had to cancel the day of because that was like the week that everything was kind of crazy. So we've got some killer startups that are going to be doing some great slideshows, and we're gonna have some great Q&A. And obviously we had the live performance from the band. That's pretty cool. And we're ready to rock.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. One of the great things about these virtual events is, anyone can pop in now and, attend your event, check it out, and be a part of the Minneapolis community for Founders Live. So yeah, would love to chat a little bit, talk a little bit more about the band. I will say that normally we would have them on and we'd interview them, but it sounds like there was a little bit of a technical issue. They couldn't actually hear us at the end. And so here we are, you and I, and let's just have a little good chat here.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about that? This is a perfect segue. So for everybody who's watching, we're going to talk just a couple minutes about the band and how where they come from, a little backstory there. You can see here on the screen, if you want to purchase any of their music or check out any of their stuff, you can go to immortalgirlfriend.bandcamp.com. Otherwise, Nick, why don't you talk a little bit about corporate and how, the 60 cities that are around the world in the 10 different countries that have Founders Live events like we do here in Minneapolis, and why we're pulling in, an artistic piece in addition to the business piece.
Yeah, great question. So for you that may have been to an event before, or maybe this is your first time, welcome to Founders Live. And, look, Founders Live is a global platform for entrepreneurship, creativity, and inspiration. And, we are in roughly about 60 cities around the world. That means we have presence in those cities. And up into the end of the year, we were having a number of events in a lot of those cities a month. And then going into early this year, obviously things have slowed down and we can't even gather in person pretty much in all the cities around the world. So we've made a transition to virtual events and virtual experiences, and it's going really well. Now you're seeing that with this transition, I started to talk to a number of people that I knew or contacts in the industry, and I realized that is the challenge that we were having from our in-person physical events, the same things are being experienced in the music industry. And, whether it's Immortal Girlfriend or any band, they're not even able to play to a live audience around the world at all. And so they're looking at virtual experiences. And so we are bringing that together, and we're wrapping now the entertainment and celebrating entrepreneurship as artistic expression. At the same time, we celebrate entrepreneurship in the business expression, and we're really excited to see this happen. So, that was one of the changes as we go to virtual, just like this on this platform. We will start wrapping in more artistic music, music, DJs, even comedians, to not only bring more entertainment to the experience, but also, to highlight them and give them a showcase for their work as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited. And I know that, like you were just saying, some of the cities are doing, stand-up a comedian's jumping on for 20 minutes. In our case, we wanted to go with the band because we thought it would be kind of fun. So we're looking forward to that and bringing in more attention and for the arts in addition to businesses. So we're real quick here. I'm just going to read a little bit more about Immortal Girlfriend, and then we're going to jump into the show. So Immortal Girlfriend is a retro alternative synth duo performed by brothers Kevin and Will from Milwaukee. They come from a very musical family where their mom plays guitar and their dad is the bass. However, it took until 2017 for a music connection to truly emerge as the brothers were laid off. They ended up living in a music studio, making ends meet as they went, and that is when the idea of Immortal Girlfriend transpired. Since then, they've been playing all over the world at renowned Pabst Theater and one of the biggest festivals in the world, Summerfest. The duo recently released their EP album titled Rise in spring 2020 that blends that retro sound and the energy with alternative R&B elements. And here's a kind of quote from Kevin and Will, the two brothers. "We're taking electricity, a natural element, and we're turning it into sound. It moves people in a special way, unlike other music." So again, if you want to check them out, you can download their music and support that band at immortalgirlfriend.bandcamp.com. So
awesome. Yeah, and I just want to say, thank you to them again. Usually we would have them on here and we would, chat with them, but great stuff. Love the sound. Hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. And it's, a nice welcoming and opening to the show.
Awesome. So with that, we're going to dive into the show. So Founders Live is a community created to inspire, educate, and entertain entrepreneurs around the world. Like we said earlier, so what's really cool about this event is if you've been to our events that we normally have at Spaces in downtown Minneapolis, we'll have usually, 80 to 100 people at those live events. And then we're live streaming to those other 49 cities in those 10 different countries around the world. So this month's a little different because we're all going to be virtual this month. But regardless, we're looking forward to having an awesome event. Next slide. So in place of if you go to our events, you know that we always have a video at this portion of the event where we actually have Nick Hughes talk about the 5 different core values of Founders Live. But instead of a video, we get the real deal. So Nick, why don't you take it away?
Yes, thank you, Dick. Again, it's great to be here. It's so interesting to be at Founders Live Minneapolis when I'm not even in the city. But just such a great time to be here. And as we talked about, Founders Live is a global community and platform for entrepreneurship. We reach about 60 cities around the world now and continue expanding. Excited to roll out these virtual events. No matter if you are in person or if you're online, we have core values that are tried and true and deep in the foundation of Founders Live. And I want to touch on those really quickly. The core value number 1 is what we call respectful authenticity. It's really about being your authentic self and respecting others in their authentic self. And the underlying current here is really about inclusion. And, we don't care what you look like. We don't care where you came from, what city, what country you live in. You should feel respected and belong in Founders Live. And so that's the first core value. Let's go to the next one. This one is really what we just say, gather around the campfire. And, look, we all are storytellers. And you're going to see more of this coming down the line through Founders Live. We believe so much in storytelling about, look, your product, your service that you are building. If you can wrap a story around that is emotional and that actually helps people understand what you're really doing, you will develop your followers and they will want to follow you. So find your campfire and tell your story. Okay, the next one. The third one is what we call open the door. And really, what can you do for others? We like to say, do great things for people without expecting a return. You know what's going to happen? It will come back to you tenfold. So, open the door for people, introduce them to people they might not know, do something great for them without actually asking for anything back to you. And look, that's the community that I want to be in. Last one. So this core value, what we call is no name tags. And, if you're in a in-person traditional event, you'll notice that you do not wear a name tag when you're at Founders Live. And really, this is just about, we remove the awkwardness of events. We remove the, why are we really doing that type of situation? And we just we have fun, and we believe business should be casual and fun. And hey, look, if you want to meet someone, just go introduce yourself. And this is just a fun core value to say that we are really about having fun and removing all the awkwardness in the event. So thank you so much. Those are the 4 core values. Please remember them. Please respect them and spread them around. And lastly, again, I want to thank you. I want to thank Dick and all the Minneapolis team. You guys are doing great, and we're making this transition to the virtual event. And great job.
Awesome. You want to go to the next slide there, Josh? So on that note, we want to just give a shout out to all 6 of our board members that make Founders Live Minneapolis happen. So Nick Wilcomb, he is our sponsorship coordinator. So if you're a sponsor, you can reach out to Nick about partnering with us. Jacob Mishke, he's our startup coordinator. So if you are all the startups that you're hearing here tonight, he's put in hours and hours interviewing them and reviewing their applications and helping with their slide decks. So if you are a startup that you want to pitch at a future event, reach out to Jacob. Adam Lofquist is our marketing coordinator. He's the one that's running all those memes on Twitter. So if you get a giggle out of those, send a thank you to Adam. Megan Sigimsetti, she is our operations coordinator. So she's the one that makes our machine churn and everything humming behind the scenes. So if you are another organization that wants to partner with us at a higher level, reach out to Megan. And Josh Williams, he is the man with the plan, who is our event coordinator. He's actually the one who's running the slideshow that you guys are all watching right now. So a huge thank you to him for helping us organize the virtual, all the assets there tonight. So thanks, Josh. We want to thank our angel sponsors, Spaces. Unfortunately, we're not able to be hosted with them physically here tonight. But again, if you're looking for any space, you can reach out to them. And Online Growth Systems. So Online Growth Systems is a company that provides digital services to companies between 1 and 200 million. And they provide what they call fractional digital services, everything from video production, if you need an explainer video made, if you need a website developed, software developed for your startup, or even just digital marketing. They run a ton of Facebook ads. You can actually reach out to me for that, or anyone else on the Online Growth Systems team. So thank you to our sponsors for funding us. And then our partner sponsors, we've got AWS. So Amazon provides a lot of the packages that we provide, or the winners packages and the presenters packages, in addition to Google. Net Capital has a partnership with Founders Live. So there's prize money that goes to these startups. They get credits on Google and Amazon, whether they win or not tonight. Obviously, the winner gets more. But and then Hewing Hotel has partnered with us in the past as well. And we wanted to give them a shout out here tonight as they're navigating COVID-19. Here's some more. We've got Google Cloud for Startups. So this is actually a really cool. This is actually showing the presenters package. So they get exclusive deals from Delta and Net Capital and Firebrand. They get cloud credits from AWS and Google. And the winner tonight gets an interview with Nick Hughes on the Founders Live podcast. And that's the podcast that gets distributed to all 50 cities or 60 cities, my bad, in 10 different countries. So Nick, why don't you give a quick little plug about the Founders Live podcast? Because I know that's been going for a couple months now, and we've seen great results here in Minneapolis, especially the winners that have been winning the last couple months that you've interviewed. They said it was an awesome experience, and they actually had people reaching out to them like, hey, we heard you on the Founders Live podcast. We want to beta test your product.
Yeah, that's great. We actually have 2 episodes that release every week, and it's open to the winners package, and anyone that has the benefit of winning here, jump on, please. I would love to talk with you, and we have great conversations really about where the idea come from, what challenges did they overcome, how are they dealing with today's world, which has changed. There's the last handful of interviews that I've had, we focus on just the challenges of coronavirus and what that has affected their business. So tremendous conversations and fun. So hopefully listen to it, look it up, Founders Live podcast. We're on all the major platforms. And hey, the winner tonight, looking forward to talking with you.
Awesome. So the format typically is we have hundreds of guests in person. We have 5 companies pitch. 99 seconds each. Tonight, we are going to be extending that to 2 minutes because you'll hear them be verbally saying next instead of, if you've been to our live events, they normally get the clicker. So we're going to give them a little bit of a cushion tonight. Then it's followed by 4 minutes of Q&A. So if you've noticed, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you are cutting out, it looks like YouTube as a platform is having issues tonight. It's not just our live stream. It looks like the entire company, YouTube, is not doing great. They must be having a lot of traffic tonight. So if you want to migrate over to Facebook, you are absolutely welcome to. In fact, we encourage it because that is where we can actually interact with you. Normally, we can interact with you on both YouTube and Facebook, but it looks like YouTube's having some issues. So if you go to founderslivemn.org, or if you go to the link tree where you got the email today from your Eventbrite ticket, you should be able to see the link to the live stream for the Facebook. We invite you to join us there. And then during the Q&A, you can ask a question in the chat. You can see here at the bottom of our screen, we've got the little streaming banner. So if you ask a question in the chat of the live stream on Facebook, we can pull that up in real time, just like this. We can pull up your question just like this, and we can actually showcase it so that the founders who just pitched can read your question. I'll read them the question, and you can get your question answered. So, this is like a real Shark Tank experience. If you've ever seen the show Shark Tank, and you are the sharks, so you ask the questions. You get to ask, what's your valuation? How many customers do you have? What's your go-to-market strategy? What's your MVP product? And the startups can choose to, if it's too NDA for them to disclose, they can just honestly say that, or they can give you as much or as little data as they want. And then that'll influence your vote at the end of the night for you decide who the winner is and who gets all those cool prizes we just talked about. So next slide. So tonight's pitch order, we've got Trellis Tools, followed by Ario, followed by Binary Bridge, followed by Bus Stop Mamas, and finally, Fundra. So with that note, we are going to bring in here Trellis Tools for the pitch. Lori, that's you, right?
Oh, I'm not Trellis, but I could probably.
Oh, who do we got here for Trellis? Is it Keith? Oh, I'm sorry, James. Here we go. There you are.
Hey.
I was trying to find you. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, James, give me 1 second here to get a timer out. All right, let us know when you're ready.
All right, next slide. Meet Joe next. Joe owns a successful IT company. He has 10 employees, a growing list of customers, and he's on track to turn a profit for the 3rd straight year. Next. So why isn't Joe enjoying his success? Because the stress of keeping his business running prevents him from doing so. Next. Joe wants to concentrate on the long-term vision for his company. Next. But instead, he feels like he spends all his time putting out fires. Next. Joe's problem is common among business owners. He wants to focus on the big picture. In traction terms, we'd call Joe the visionary. Next. But a visionary needs someone to manage the day-to-day operations. They need an integrator. Next. If Joe tries to do both on his own, neither is likely to be done well. Next. At Trellis Tools, we believe that the solution to Joe's problem is structured operations, a framework that directs and facilitates the work of the integrator. Trellis Tools helps companies implement structured operations in 3 phases. Next. Align. Next. Execute. Next. And evolve. Next. Align. Trellis Tools helps define your vision and account for the work being done so that every employee understands their role and how they contribute to the success of the business. Next. Execute. Trellis Tools ensures that every employee has the information and tools they need to successfully execute their work. Next. Evolve. Trellis Tools helps you go from where you are to where you need to be by focusing on improving in a specific, measurable manner. Next. The result is a business that runs proactively, not reactively. Trellis Tools gives Joe confidence that the day-to-day work is being done so he can concentrate on moving the company forward and anticipating changes instead of reacting to them. Next. No longer distracted by the now. Next. Joe can truly focus on what's next.
Awesome work. You're even below time. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the floor for 4 minutes of Q&A. And so starting the timer there on 4 minutes of Q&A. And I would like to start off with the first question there, James. How many companies do you have using your product so far?
Yeah, great question. So currently we are working with 2 initial clients right now. Both coincidentally are IT companies. Joe is not a real person, but he's basically an amalgam of our early adopters. And so we've got 2 companies and about $100 of MRR between them.
Awesome. Nick Hughes, what question you got for him?
Yeah, James, what specific industry vertical are you going to focus on now, and then how does that expand out to others?
Yeah, I mean, I think broadly speaking, we're focusing on small businesses. More narrowly speaking, I'd say both me, my background as a software developer, and my co-founder, who he's sort of the subject matter expert on this sort of thing. He has a lot of experience with IT companies, so that seems like a natural fit for us to focus on growing initially. I don't see anything specific to the platform that's unique to IT, but that's where we have connections, so that's where we want to focus.
Awesome. We've got a question here from Amy. Is this a software or a consulting group?
Good question. Yes. So Trellis Tools itself is software. It's a software application that helps you implement structured operations. But my co-founder, he is also a consultant that helps companies through this process. And at this point in our growth, we're sort of focusing on leveraging that, because a lot of the barriers to entry at this point are around education and making sure people understand these concepts. It's sort of a similar role if you're familiar with EOS or Traction. You've got Traction implementers who sort of help you with the concepts, but you also have things like Traction Tools or 90.io that just if you know Traction well enough and just need a tool to do it, you can do it yourself. So we aim to be that eventually, but at this point, we're focusing more on doing it in tandem with consulting.
Awesome. We've got another question here from Adam. What does your funding model look like?
At this point, we are entirely self-funded. We are basically, so I am doing this on the side, and my business partner is using his consulting revenue to support him. And so basically, we're taking advantage of that to not need, we don't really have many expenses. We're just sort of trying to grow organically at this point.
I'll follow up with that. Is what is the business model? And you might have touched on it maybe a little bit, but what's the price point? How are you really driving revenue through these engagements? Yeah,
so the way we're looking at right now, our pricing is roughly between $10 and $15 per user, depending on what functionality you want. And typically that can be on its own if you want it, or in conjunction with consulting services, where part of how we're looking to expand is to work with other consultants who feel like this tool would benefit their consulting. And so it would still be some sort of directed hand-holding or education, I guess would be the better way to put it, that goes along with using the app. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good. Looks like we got a few more.
Yep, we got time for one last question here from Mike Lewis. He says, who are the biggest competitors, or what are the most competitive platforms, processes, or current means of doing what you're solving for?
Yeah, so I'd say the most direct competitors are, I think, things in the Traction space, as I mentioned. I wouldn't say that we're against Traction. We describe ourselves as Traction friendly, but we are just taking a slightly different approach. Specifically, we are focused more directly on tools for the integrator, tools on that sort of day-to-day execution level work of the business. And so we want to provide tools for people who are either more focused towards that, or also just looking to be maybe a little more Flexible. If you feel like I like a few things about traction, but I don't want to, go all in and do 100% traction, you can implement a lot of the same concepts with Trellis tools, but we hope we offer you a little bit more freedom to adapt it to your business's specific needs.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
Stick around. Everybody stick around for if you want to vote for James for the winner after tonight. We'll be putting out the link to the voting poll. It's going to be, again, it's on our link tree like we does every month, but we'll also be posting that link in the Facebook and YouTube comments when we're ready, after we've heard the 5 companies pitch. So James, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing if you're the winner. And again, if you're the winner at the end of the night, that winner or the startup that wins gets a little extra couple minutes to talk about their startup. And then if there's anybody that wants to connect with James or any of the other startups you hear tonight, they'll be attending the Meetaway virtual networking after the pitch competition. So if you want to, whether it's becoming a client or using their tools, or if you're an investor that wants to invest in a company you see tonight, feel free to reach out to them, and hopefully you'll get paired out with them in the virtual networking at the end of the night. So with that note, we're going to switch over to the next presenter. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
So next up is Ario. How are you guys doing?
Great. How about yourself? Doing well.
We're doing awesome. Thanks for coming tonight. We're looking forward to hearing about your company.
Thanks for having us.
Are you guys ready to rock? I'm ready when you are.
Ready to go.
All right. Whenever you start, I'll start the timer.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Matt Mikulski, and this is Brannick Wykes. We are the co-founders of Ario. Ario is a content management system for the real estate industry. We're on a mission to serve as the central location for all of the visual content in the $33 trillion U.S. residential real estate market. Next. I'm sure we've all been on Zillow before to check out an apartment or a house. This is how over 90% of buyers start their search. And with the effects of COVID-19, we're expecting this to only go up. But have you ever thought about who took these pictures or how Zillow even got them? Next. This brings us to the chaotic flow of data and content behind the scenes in the real estate industry. There are many parties that are in need of these images, but a peek under the curtain reveals the difficult process of gaining access to them. In fact, portals like Zillow and Trulia often never even end up with a lot of the content that's created for properties. For an industry that increasingly lives online, there needs to be order brought to this chaos, and that's where Ario steps in. Next. Our platform enables content creators and real estate professionals to host, collaborate, and distribute content for properties. These are things such as images, videos, 3D tours, and floor plans. We just recently closed our pre-seed round of funding and have thousands of active users around the country. We're currently on track to host about 1% of all US residential real estate transactions this year. And in some of our key markets, we host more than 10% of the content for all transactions. The real estate industry is moving online, and the visual representation of a home is more important than ever. Thanks, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt and Brannick. You guys did awesome. I would love to ask you, I myself am a software developer. What tech stack are you guys using?
Great question, Dick. So we're all built in Laravel, which is a PHP framework. We've built everything in-house from scratch over the last couple of years. We're actually hiring PHP developers now in Boston. So if anyone's listening and interested, feel free to reach out to us after the show.
Awesome. I know that Nick Heers, I'll bring you in here too. I know that we have a thriving Founders Live event in Boston. So maybe that's somebody that we can connect them with.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, great pitch. Good job. How insight on the real estate market, given the current situation and downturn economically? What we've seen in Seattle and other areas is it hasn't dropped yet, but will it? And how does that affect your business?
Yeah, great question. So we've kept a close eye on this. I think everyone in the real estate industry has. Overall, the general consensus is that the real estate industry has been much more resilient to this than ever expected. We expected sales and transactions to grind to a halt and to be a significant impact on valuations. We haven't quite seen that. Starting about 8 weeks ago, there was a steady decline for about a 4-week period, and we're now on the tail end of that 4-week period. So on a country average, we've seen kind of listings, sales, and transactions back to their kind of normal peak at where they were about 8 weeks ago. So really, we're looking about like 2 weeks or 2 months behind on like a countrywide level, but overall pretty good for most companies in the space right now.
All right,
Nice.
good job.
We do have a question here from the live stream. Adam asks, who is your main target market for the product?
Yeah, so we have a few pieces there. All in all, we want to be a platform that sort of runs in the back end of the real estate industry, that sort of connects the different various pieces. So the first sort of target in our kind of pipeline is a photographer or someone who actually creates content for real estate agents. So they go out, a real estate agent's going to sell a house. They need someone to come and capture images, maybe produce a video, a floor plan, or 3D tour. So we actually have business software that runs the entire, a photographer can run their entire business on. And included in that is they can deliver all of this content that they just made to a real estate agent. And so photographers are sort of the start, and then we have offerings to agents and brokerages as well. And they can do other business things such as like creating flyers or property websites, video slideshows.
Awesome. We've got another question here from Facebook, from a Facebook viewer. We got Mike Lewis asking, is there anything proprietary about the software platform or something that keeps a brokerage from bringing this in-house?
Great question. We've actually found most brokerages don't have the resources to build in-house software platforms to this level. So if you think about it, most brokerages want to focus on either getting new agents to their brokerage or retaining existing agents. So when you look at the things that brokerages are really good at, usually one of those two categories. So oftentimes you just don't find brokerages that are even looking to invest in internal tools just because they're not positioned to hire engineers, maintain products, and keep those up to date. So oftentimes we have a lot of brokerages reaching out to us, and we're soon going to announce our first brokerage, kind of a large brokerage in Colorado. They'll be running all of their in-house systems on our stuff. And actually from that reason, they found it too expensive to maintain an in-house platform. They would rather use an outside party.
Awesome. So you guys, we have 2 questions here in queue at the live chat. You've got 1 minute. So if you want to allocate 30 seconds apiece. Michael is asking, who's your competition?
Yeah, honestly, one of our biggest competitors is just Dropbox. So one of the big components for our business is just file sharing. So sending images, videos, 3D floor plans, 3D tours. And Dropbox is not really built, like you can't send a 3D walkthrough in Dropbox. The mediums just don't really work. It's new technologies that are coming up. And so we built a real estate specific file sharing platform. So Dropbox is probably our biggest competition there.
Awesome. And then the last question here, Amy is asking, can you touch a little bit on your marketing? How are you gaining new customers, photographers, and agents?
Yeah. So the cool thing about, so we started with photographers, as I mentioned, and building software specifically for them. And once we can onboard a photographer, one solo photographer often works with 100+ real estate agents. So all we really need to do is go after that first photographer, and they're onboarding agents for us. And we were photographers ourselves, so we did real estate photography for a while. And that's sort of how we made the entrance into the photographer market. And so we actually haven't spent any money on any marketing. It's all been word of mouth thus far. So that's sort of the plan there.
Awesome. And with that, the Q&A time is up. And of course, if you want to stick around and vote for Mario as the winner for tonight's competition, we'll be posting the link on Facebook later. Fellas, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick.
We'll see you in the networking afterwards. Okay. Next up, we have got Binary Bridge. Lori, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
Are you ready to rock? Are you excited?
I am. I'm excited. I'm excited to go through this.
Cool. So again, we'll give you a couple minutes here for your pitch, and then we'll do some Q&A with the audience.
Okay.
So I'm ready whenever you are.
Sounds great. All right. So with COVID now more than ever, we need to find creative ways to bring medical care to the half of the world's population that lacks access to just basic primary health care. So imagine you're a medical professional that wants to help. You travel thousands of miles, you spend $3,000 on logistics and supplies, you take 7 days off of PTO, All you want to do is bring your valuable skills to those in need. Next. When you get there, you have 10 minutes with each patient, but you have no background information at all. You need to talk through living conditions, past lab tests, diagnosis, medications, and treatments, relying only on that patient's memory. And afterwards, there's no way to follow up with your patients and make sure they're taking their medications as prescribed. So are you giving them quality care? And could you? Next. This is the case with nearly all organizations providing international health aid, including 13,000 in the US alone. Next. But we have a solution. Backpack EMR is a portable, easy-to-use app to track patient data over time. Next. Facilitate mobile clinic flows and provide trending and follow-up reports to help improve patient outcomes. Next. We are the only EMR that can share data offline within a clinic using our custom-built peer-to-peer offline network. No internet or electricity is needed. Next. 12 organizations are using Backpack EMR across 19 countries, where they continue to track patient histories for their return trips and ongoing follow-up care by local staff. Next. And with the COVID outbreak, we've modified our solution to create a COVID case tracking tool and monitoring dashboard, which has been approved for a trial in Kenya and proposed for rollout countrywide. Next. So we're transforming remote healthcare from a Band-Aid fix into high-quality healthcare. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome job. And you were under time.
Perfect.
So now we'll start the 4 minutes of Q&A. So it looks like we've got some questions coming in already, but I want to be selfish and I want to ask the first question.
Sure.
What is an obstacle that your company needs to overcome in the next 6 months, and what's your plan to tackle it?
Ooh, the next 6 months. I'm not sure if our company is going to be able to tackle this, but we need to get people traveling again. So that's one of the biggest hurdles right now with a lot of our US-based teams. They can't travel. So that's one big hurdle. And in lieu of that, since that's not really in our control, what we're doing instead is we're first focusing on COVID and doing COVID tracking. And then the second thing to mitigate that is we're starting to focus on small rural clinics, facility-based. And so we're going to add things like billing and appointment scheduling and inventory management that our mobile clinics don't need, but so that we can go after that target market instead.
Yeah, that's so you're definitely being affected right now with COVID-19, right?
We are.
Right. Nick, what's your question for him?
Yeah, Lori, first of all, you're familiar to me because you participated in another competition, the Women in Cloud, yes?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, good job. So this is cool. You're getting some good experience pitching online. The fun of it and also the challenge of it.
That's right.
Yeah. My question is around. It is of my belief that we haven't seen the worst of COVID-19, and I do believe personally, this is my personal opinion, it's going to be spreading quite far, and it's not under control yet. So how do you see your tool being used in various parts of the world? I know that you identified specific areas based on some of the things and images, but do you imagine this all over, or are you focusing on specifically maybe Africa or other, the countries that you point out here? Do you imagine this being used everywhere, or is it specific countries that you're focusing on?
It can be used anywhere. We are focused on countries in Africa for sure, where we have some connections. We're definitely focused on South America and Central America as well. I agree. I think COVID's not going away. And so we've added a lot of that COVID tracking right into our primary care module that we have. And so I would see anyone going into primary care continuing to use that COVID tracking, right? So what we've heard from a lot of people is they still need primary care. Like COVID's not the only thing going on in the world, right? So people are still having diabetes and hypertension, and they still need to do all of that follow-up care. And so people still need to track that. The ways people are mitigating it is doing more remote care. So we're being used in call centers now rather than actually people going out and doing these mobile clinics. We're starting to partner with telemedicine. So we're doing some of the video chatting too. So we're trying to adapt to the new world order that's happening with COVID.
Good. Well,
awesome.
Good job. Yeah.
We've got 4 questions queued up here for you in a short amount of time. So if you want to do a speed round, Amy's asking, who's your ideal customer?
Ideal customer would be someone that's a mid-size who's in multiple countries, seeing a ton of patients, but following up with those patients. So we want organizations who are continuing to serve the same communities over and over again.
Awesome. Mike Lewis asks, awesome. He says, awesome idea. And then asks, how are you acquiring the technology and support for ongoing IT and upkeep and troubleshooting? Is it donations, crowdfunding, corporate backing, etc.?
We have investors. So we have a raise going on right now if anyone's interested. But we do have customer revenue coming in as well. But primarily we're working on investments that we can keep going, kind of get us through this COVID cycle until we can capture more customer revenue.
Awesome. Michael asks, is this available in native languages or only in English?
We have it in any language that Apple supports right now. So we're on iOS. So there's like 40 to 50 languages. You can switch your iPad and it'll switch the language in our app as well.
Awesome. And Leslie is asking, is there a particular tech stack that you are using that allows the scalability and agility that you need, or is this proprietary?
Yeah, we are using a tech stack that we've got React Native is what we're using primarily. So we can be on any platform essentially. So super scalable there. We're on our back end, we're using Couchbase, which I think our Couchbase friends might be on here too. So that helps us a little bit with that peer-to-peer nature. But that really helps us to move quickly too. When you use some sort of NoSQL backend, right? That's where you really get a lot of agility in your development.
All right. Great job, Lori.
Thanks.
Yeah, great job. Dick might be frozen, so you know. Oh no. But let's actually, we'll wait for him to come back. So you know, one more question I had was you mentioned primary care. Well, people are getting, as COVID gets worse, primary care is actually really struggling because the focus is on the pandemic. How do you help that? What are your thoughts on that when it is such a big challenge right now?
Yeah, it is a struggle. So the need is still there, right? Those rural clinics or those rural villages aren't getting the healthcare that they used to get through these mobile clinics. And while it's true that it's a little bit harder for them to do that long-term care when they're just tracking things on paper, it still was some care. At least they were being seen by doctors and physicians, right? So that is a bit of a struggle. Like I said, we've been trying to do some of the telemedicine or by phone. A lot of people are using community health workers. It's still a struggle though, because people are very afraid to go into other people's homes right now. So I just think we're going to struggle for a little while until we get some sort of vaccine.
I know. How go out 3 to 5 years? Where is this product and your company? What does that look like?
Yeah, in 3 to 5 years, I would hope that we have many more modules. So we are very modular focused to help us scale. So we've got primary care module, we have surgical modules, we've got orthopedic surgery, cleft lip and palate. We're working on other modules as well. But I would hope that we would be able to be fully built out with dental and vision. There's all those different medical specialties. I'd see us being used. For example, we pitched in Kenya for a countrywide rollout for medical camps, so to use it for all the medical camps so we can report back on population data too. So I would hope that we could do more of that, countrywide rollouts, getting them their core data so they have data on the rural communities as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Lori. It was a pleasure to see you again, and good job on your pitch.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then you can also pull yourself off. Just click that button that pulls you right off the screen if you see that. There you go.
Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi is cutting in and out, Nick. So you might have to jump in more often than you're anticipating tonight. Mary Kay, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Dick?
I'm doing awesome. Are you ready to rock?
I am.
All right, cool. I'm going to bring Nick in here just in case my Wi-Fi cuts in again, so he can jump in if he needs to for managing Q&A. Sound good?
Good.
Okay. All right. Nick, just a heads up, you're on the live stream now in case my Wi-Fi cuts out. But all right, Mary Kay, take it away.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mary Kay Zinowitz, and I'm the founder of Bus Stop Mamas. Bus Stop Mamas is a digital platform that instantly connects businesses seeking help to people seeking work. Mostly moms, but some dads too. Next slide. So workforce has taken a turn, shifted unexpectedly. Next slide. Businesses learned that we can now be together and work, or we don't have to be together to work together. They also learned that experience and efficiency matter to the bottom line. Next slide. The business problem we solve is that businesses need experienced and affordable talent quickly. The family problem we solve is moms need work that fits in the schedule of their kids. What happens when business goes back to normal, but school doesn't? Next slide. Bus Stop Mamas has been solving this problem since January of 2019. We have a patent pending tech that seamlessly infuses high tech with human touch. One click closes the gaps from the boardroom table to the kitchen table. Next slide. No other platform is like ours. Businesses love us. We have 100% satisfied customers. We've introduced hundreds of customers to hundreds of businesses, and we've placed over 200 parents in jobs, all moms and one dad. Moms love us too. We have over 1,500 moms in our network, and our network grows by word of mouth every day. It's free for moms to join. I encourage you to check us out. Everybody wins. Thanks.
Awesome job.
Oh, thank you. Great job.
Thanks.
Here we go. Let's rock and roll with some questions. So I'm going to ask, this is my personal favorite question. I'm going to ask this question for you too. What is the biggest obstacle that you need to overcome in the next 6 months? And then what's your plan to overcome that?
Biggest obstacle right now is growing with the coronavirus. We have been working on a raise. We put it on hold. Our ability to grow the way that we had planned in our pro forma in 6 states this year has been narrowed down to 3 over the next 6 months. We're still growing. We don't have the budget that we had initially hoped to have to do the growth, but that would be our biggest, is slow down in growth.
Sure. The grassroots.
So, Mary Kay, great job. And has the whole COVID and the downturn, how has it helped you? What is better now and more advantageous now than maybe this 3 months, even 4 months ago?
Yeah, so the big thing is the understanding that businesses have that we don't have to be together to work together. That was a challenge. It was something that I had to take some extra effort to explain to businesses. Yeah, you can have people work remotely. I don't have to have that conversation anymore with businesses because on a dime, they all converted to remote work. They had to. This is great. This is great for families. But importantly, we don't know what the next 6 months hold. We don't know when businesses go back and schools don't, what this does to our staffing as business owners. We need people to work and to survive. So there are a lot of creative ways to do that. What we offer is access to exceptional talent that is experienced and they're efficient, and both of those skills are highly needed by businesses right now. And we do this all with a click. So there's no other platform like ours. We are connecting instantly.
Awesome. We've got quite a few questions queued up for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
Michael is asking, do you view yourself as a tech company or a recruiting company? Great question.
We're a tech company. We are not a recruiting company. We're not a staffing agency. We're very different. We make introductions. We do not conduct background checks. We don't collect resumes. What we do is funnel fantastic people to business owners that are looking for talent.
Awesome. Jacob Mishke asks, how has your business been impacted by the massive amount of layoffs with COVID-19?
Yeah, interesting. Our network is very unique. These people in our network were never in the market. So these are moms who have opted out of work to care for their children. Initially, we thought that we only had moms with gaps in their resume who had left promising careers to care for their children. But quickly we found out that we have moms who are presently working in high-level positions. 40% of our network are moms who are in high-level positions in Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies that are seeking to jump ship for the right opportunity with a company that will honor their commitment to their family. So we didn't have a lot of people that were out in the marketplace. Right now with COVID-19 and the layoffs, initially when the restaurants did their layoffs here in Minnesota, I did some shout outs to my network and said, hey moms, you know, we're here for you. Dads too, of course. And we had a few, we had a little bump from that, but not very many. We get most of our network from moms who haven't been working, have gaps in their resume, or are looking for that shift. And especially now with distance learning, it is really challenging when you have 2 or 3 children at home under 6th grade, and you're a parent and you have a job that you can't work from home. We have a new normal, and we have been adjusting that before COVID. So we're set to go.
Awesome. So Josh is asking, how are parents finding you, and what's the process for them to start driving with you?
It's super simple. It's free for parents to join our network. How they are finding us has been all word of mouth. So January of 2019, we opened our doors. My daughter built our website. She was 12 years old at the time. And we started accumulating moms, and our network grew from 0 to over 1,500. It grows every day. Moms share. We post our jobs every Tuesday to our moms, and our moms review those jobs and they share with their friends. That's how our network grows. We make our process super simple for moms, super simple for businesses. So businesses post jobs. The job has to be flexible. Moms vet themselves. This is very important. Moms vet themselves and they hit a button, introduce me, and they're immediately introduced to the business owner. Everyone has access. What we hear from our moms is, oh my gosh, I'm getting in front of people. I never got in front of people before. We remove those barriers. We make it simple. What we hear from our business owners is, oh my gosh, I've never had access to such great talent. They meet 2 people and they have a hard time deciding who they're going to hire. To Josh, your question, it's super simple. To enter our network, we ask a few questions, you're in there, and it's free. So you can respond to any jobs that seem like you fit the role.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mary Kay. We look forward to seeing you at the virtual networking afterwards, and good luck tonight.
Thanks.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, we have Fundra. Bashir, how you doing?
Good. How's it going, Dick?
It's going fantastic. We are excited to hear your pitch. So everyone who's watching, Fundra is the 5th of the 5 startups tonight that will be pitching. So afterwards, we'll be posting the link to founderslive.com where you can vote for your favorite startup tonight. And the winner we'll be announcing the winner after a few minutes, after we've had some time to give everyone a chance to log on and vote. And we'll be announcing the winner who gets that huge prize. And you can talk to all these startups at the virtual networking afterwards. So Bashir, are you ready to rock?
I am.
Sounds great. I am ready whenever you are.
All right, let's go. Perfect. So thank you everybody for joining me. My name is Bashir, and I am the CEO and founder of Fundra. We are a nonprofit management software company that helps nonprofits clearly articulate why they need funding. Next. So the primary reason for the product is to increase impact. So even though funding is a core part of the product, it's all around maximizing impact. Next. Why did we create this software? What's out there in the market? What did we see that there is clearly a need for? Well, we looked back at the data of donations in this country and we found that it was pretty stagnant. In fact, I think with COVID-19, it's starting to dip a little bit. in some areas. And we want to understand why. And the primary reason for that, if you hit next for me, Dick, is that, yep, go ahead, hit next. Yep. Top reason was that donors did not understand how their money was used. This was a survey that was taken by a very large company called Cambridge Collective, hired by Bill and Melinda Gates. And this is the primary reason why we wanted to create the product, to truly understand why nonprofits need funding and how do they plan on making an impact. So what is our solution for that, for them to unlock this huge opportunity to focus on this top donor concern? Next. The product is pretty simple. It's a management solution for nonprofits. What I mean by that is nonprofits will log into the system. It's a guided process. They'll fill out what their plans are for the future for their programs. They'll then go into a funding process of asking them exactly how they plan on using the money down to the dollar. So think a homeless shelter will be able to use the system and say, here's how many homeless people I'm going to be able to support, and then analyze those results. Next. Business model is pretty straightforward. It's a subscription model like anything else. And then next, finally, just for the sake of time, a lot of competitors out there, mostly focusing on raising money. We go a step further. We're looking at how you're raising money and why you're raising the money for this project. Next. Thank you.
10 seconds. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll stop you here. Thank you.
Perfect. Nice work.
Thanks.
Let's get some Q&A flowing.
All right.
So I'm gonna take the first question and do my go-to. What's the biggest obstacle that Fundra is trying to overcome in the next 6 months, and what's your plan to execute on that?
Yeah, so this is actually common probably for every business, but nonprofits right now are struggling. They're just trying to figure out how to stay afloat. We're hearing that from our early adopters of the product. So our biggest obstacle in the next 6 months is actually double down on the product. Clearly articulate why they need funding, because it's very competitive. I think there's about 1.8 million charities in this country. Think about how many organizations are competing for such a small pool of donations. So we're going to need to double down on that in the next 6 months.
Yeah, to follow up on that, is it inevitable when there's a downturn that certain nonprofits will actually struggle and go maybe close? Or is there what other ways maybe are there to access funds outside of pure donations when, look, money's tight right now? That's the fact. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Nick. They got to be very creative. You can't just simply go to donors individually. You've got to look at other ways of doing it. And what some nonprofits are starting to do now is align with corporate giving, because although individual contributors are spending less and less on donations, actually corporate giving and foundations have already budgets that they've locked in on objectives. So it's now more than ever very important for nonprofits to align with the grants and the bigger money rather than trying to ask for smaller groups of donations, which is going to be a little bit challenging.
So we've got a double question here from Mike Lewis, who asks, do you help nonprofits connect to potential funders or secure the funds? And then he followed up with here with a clarification to that question. Is it more of a way for nonprofits to gain exposure and the donors to choose who they want to align with?
Really good question, Mike. The system is a management tool. So nonprofits log in, they fill out essentially a massive form with budgets in there and an entire process. And then there's reporting for them to go share it with potential funders. So we don't directly help them out of privacy. We don't take their data out of the system and go send it to foundations. They do that on their own. But we are introducing foundations who can opt into the system and request for that information directly in the system itself. I don't remember what the second question was. If you could pop that open.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it more of a way of nonprofits to gain exposure? Yes. Not directly to individual donors. We don't have a way for donors to log in and retrieve all of this data. It's actually really for nonprofits to share this directly on their websites in a dynamic report. So donors will get access, just not through directly in the system.
Awesome. David Stark is asking, does Fundra show the mix of donated money and other sources of money to give an overall picture of revenues across the organization?
That is absolutely a huge part of the product. We find that the better your revenue sources in terms of diversity, the higher the chance that you're going to get funded, because you're not relying on one source, and thus your risk is lower if you don't get funded. And now you've got a community you're serving. You may close, and who's going to serve that community, right? So that's a huge part of our budgeting component in the product, revenue sources.
Sure. And we've got time for one last question.
I
Go
got
for it, Nick.
I got one more. I hear this a lot, just in a lot of our, a lot of our events, that there are companies that support nonprofits like yours. Do you feel that it's all right and okay as a business to be a profitable enterprise helping in the nonprofit space?
Yeah, so we are a for-profit software company helping a nonprofit sector, and it's a common question we get asked: how are you making an impact by helping the nonprofits? So 15% of our revenue, first of all, is given to those customers who use our product, because by giving, and we use our own product to determine who to give it to. So we actually evaluate nonprofits and give it to them. So I agree. I think from a philosophical, sort of ethical, nonprofits should be working themselves out of business. I've always felt that if you're a really good nonprofit and you're serving your community, you should always try to reduce the amount of money you're asking for and focus more on how to best utilize the resources you already have, because you may never get that money next year, right? So you shouldn't plan on that every year.
Got it. Yeah, I'll just follow up with, hey, if there is not a profit model that actually sustains the thing, then you're going to be out of business too. So there's no problem making money around a donation nonprofit system. Just make sure you're doing the right stuff. But great job, man.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's get organized here. And before we start the polling, Nick, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that Founders Live is doing at a corporate level with the 60 different cities while we get polling set up for the 5 different startups. Sound good?
Yes. Yeah. So, we are in a process now to expand Founders Live all around the world in all of our virtual events. And so, I keep saying this term, but, we basically are rebuilding the plane in mid-flight. And so what we've done with all of our locations and our cities is we've pulled it into now restarting with the virtual event, and just like this. And so we've had about 8, maybe 9 cities that have had a virtual event such as this. And it's now just kind of restarting up to 55, if not 60 cities that we reached earlier this year. And then we'll add more cities. So, that is really our focus, is to get started in all the cities that we are in, the virtual event. And, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Dick or the Minneapolis team if, number one, you wonder if Founders Live is in a certain city. Number two, if you know that it's not in a certain city and you want Founders Live to be in a certain city, please let us know. Dick mentioned a number earlier, and I want to correct him. We actually have presence in almost 30 countries. That was about 60 cities in 30 countries. That's across Africa. That's starting to grow through Europe, down through South America, and obviously in North America and the United States. So feel free to reach out to us if you know the city that really does deserve Founders Live. And because these are now virtual, it really is just, we're focusing on talent from those cities, but people can tap into this from wherever they are. And so it's less of a local focus. It's more, we want to have global exposure, but we want to provide the exposure to those companies that are from Minneapolis or from, New York, or from Boston, or from Seattle, or whatnot. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us.
Awesome. So with that, we are going to start the voting. So if you would like to vote, This is just a quick reminder slide of the startups that you saw tonight. So keep in mind which one you want to vote for. So in the voting poll, it says Aligned Applications as the first company that pitched. That is the same company as Trellis Tools that you saw pitch first. So if you want to vote for Trellis Tools, the company you vote for in the the poll is Aligned Applications. Who pitched second? That was Ario, followed by Binary Bridge, followed by Bus Stop Mamas, and finally you heard Fun Drug would go fifth. So we're going to post that link here, link to vote in the chat. To the Founders Live application, or to the Founders Live platform. You can also find that link on our link tree. So if you go to our link tree website that you got, you buy your tickets for, and you have the links to where you got to the live stream tonight. If you click on the vote here button, that'll also lead to the poll. So we're gonna play one song here, or at least try to, from on Spotify. Of Immortal Girlfriend, the band that we featured at the beginning here, to give everybody, all the people who are watching, an opportunity to go ahead and cast their vote on founderslive.com. So in the meantime, startups, if you're listening in, feel free to absolutely vote. You can cast your vote as well. There's nothing wrong with patting yourself on the back for thinking that you should win the prizes tonight. So yeah, let's get started. So we're going to leave this here up.
So yeah,
you can also have a QR code scanner. You can use that too.
Get that music going, and I'll just mention, if you are voting, if you're new to the platform, you got to go through a little sign up process real quick. If you're going back to the Founders Live, you might have to sign in. So make sure when you see the poll, you're going to want to choose an option. It's going to take you through a little bit of a process. Make sure you go back to that poll to make sure that your vote is registered and it counts. And if you have any problems, feel free to mention it in the comments, and we'll make sure you get fixed.
Awesome. So let's pull up Immortal Girlfriend and see if we can get something playing here while we give a couple minutes.
Yeah, Dick, if it's playing, we can't hear it. I know that for everyone watching, we're kind of doing a little bit of an experiment. But if you are hearing music, Dick, we aren't.
Got it. Let's
So yeah, no worries. We will move on here, and we'll just have a chat. If anyone, I'll tell you right now, if anyone from StreamYard, or actually I think this happens on Zoom as well. Look, we can talk, we can share screens. Why can we not play audio in these platforms? Anyone that works at these system, at StreamYard or any sort of live streaming system, that would be an absolute bare minimum add feature set, is allow us to instantly throw in some audio and play some music. That would be my request, which I'll probably pass it on to them soon. But Dick, I just want to kind of open up to you. How would you say the difference between the live event and the virtual event? Talk about your experience of transitioning to this, since it's not easy, man. I mean, we're all just making the shift here.
Right. Yeah. So Founders Live Minneapolis, we've got 6 people on our board of directors, and we've got, I think, about half a dozen volunteers outside of that help with the logistics of making this all happen. And it's been an interesting, more so from the perspective of the community, because we've noticed that our social media has been actually getting more reach than ever, because I think people are craving the social, or the Founders Live community, and they miss the networking, and they miss the happy hour, and they miss the the live music, or the music, and the after party, as by far my personal favorite part. We usually walk to, a restaurant or, Hewing Hotel is sponsored in the past. We've gone there and people have dinner with, and it's great because they sit next to, there could be an accredited investor who's looking for the next check to sign, sitting next to a founder who just pitched, sitting next to somebody who attended Founders Live, and they're looking for a startup to work for. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's been, interesting to see how our social media has increased in reach, obviously, but we haven't been able to have Founders Live events. And that's like one of the greatest parts of Founders Live is, having that face-to-face interaction. But we're super excited about Meetaway afterwards. So if you're sticking around, I'm going to refresh this poll here. We're going to give about another minute here for you to cast your vote on that poll. And then we're going to announce the winner, and then the winner is going to be able to announce or talk a little bit more about their company. And then I'm going to pull up the screen share again, and we're going to have a link. If you go back to our Linktree page, and we'll also have a QR code that you can scan here, that'll lead to Meetaway. And that's where we're going to be doing a speed dating, and I'll have Josh talk about that. One of our board members, he'll jump on here and explain what the virtual network is going to look like to take place of that after party that we normally would have. So
Great.
Thanks for the question. All right, let's refresh this page and see who the winner is. Now this is where the audio would be nice, because then we can have a little drum roll, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, we've got a tie.
Oh,
we've got a tie.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We seriously have a tie, Dick. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, for real.
Okay. Everyone, there is one person out there that hasn't voted. I'm pretty sure of that. We're gonna take one more minute.
Yep.
We want you to vote, and we're gonna check it in one more minute. But let's continue, and then we'll see if when one more minute the tie is still there, or if there is someone that goes ahead, and then we'll go from there. But we usually, we're fine to have a tie. We'll bring them both up, but let's just go one more minute. So look, here's my thoughts, man. I absolutely
they both increased by one vote.
Hey, there's one more person out there that hasn't voted. Look, I'm with you as well. The transition here has been difficult in some ways. It's been interestingly fun in some ways. But the networking, you can't replace human interaction in real life. So we can only do so much here online. There's going to be a lot of innovation around it. But yeah, I miss seeing people. I miss giving high fives. I miss shaking hands. I miss hugging people. That's just the nature of the way we operate. So we're gonna get through this. We will have in-person events again, but we will continue to do these virtual events because these are great. I'm able to hang out with you all, even though I'm not even in Minnesota. So these won't go away, but we will get back to in-person.
Awesome. So we're going to refresh the page. Fingers crossed. We have a winner. And the winner is Binary Bridge.
Whoa. Bring her back on.
Let's do it.
And just to be clear, it was between Binary Bridge and Bus Stop Mama. So both of those companies, great job. And then all the presenters, great job. But then we got Lori.
Yay! Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks, everyone who voted.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, this is great. And, again, working through just as we test this out, some things just don't end up working the way that we want them, but you got through that and you did a great job. Tell us a little more about, I always like to ask, how did this idea come to you? What's the origin? Quickly, what's the origin story of this vision?
Sure. Yeah. The origin story starts with my work in software. So I'm a product person, software engineer, played all kinds of different roles in software, but I wasn't feeling like I was really making a difference. And this was while I was at Target. And so I went on a medical trip doing surgeries with my sister. She's a physician assistant. And they were doing everything on paper. And I was watching this and I couldn't believe it. They spent hours and hours and hours shuffling papers to try to figure out who would get surgeries and trying to look at pictures and on different devices and stuff. And they were up till 1 o'clock in the morning the day before the surgeries. So it was incredible to me. So I was like, okay, let's figure something out. So I looked off the shelf. I know how hard it is to create software and to maintain it, especially stable, solid software. There was nothing out there that could fill the gap. And so we just had to create it. We just had to, right? It was a problem that had to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the key.
Congratulations.
That's the key. Everyone that's watching right now, she said the key word, which was there's a problem, right? She found a problem. And now you create the solution. Do not create a solution and look for a problem. So great job on even just identifying a problem in the world and then building something out to solve that.
Sure. Thanks.
Awesome.
It was not easy going, but yeah, totally worth it in the long run, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your win. Our startup coordinator, Jacob Mischke, will be connecting you for your package and your prizes as the winner. So other startups, great job as well. And we look forward to talking more with you and all the other founders that pitched tonight in the networking. And with that, I'm going to bring on Josh Williams, our board member, who's our event coordinator, and he's going to tell you about what our virtual networking is going to look like. So thanks, Lori.
Great.
Josh, welcome to the stream.
Mute.
Happy to be here.
There you go.
All right. So thank you everyone for attending tonight. This is our first time doing an online event. I thought it went pretty smooth, but the QR code that we have in front of you leads to our link tree, which you might have also accessed when you were voting. And I wanted to point out a couple things really quick on that link tree. One, there is a button to get tickets for the next event. So our next event, which as the screen says, is going to be on June 11th. If you sign up now, you can get your tickets for free. So we definitely want to encourage that because we would love to see everyone back and bring, even more people. Second thing I want to point out when you use this QR code and you go to our link tree is there's also an option for an event satisfaction survey. That's for me. It's my job to make sure that these events are as entertaining and value-packed for you all as possible. So this, again, was our first online event, so I would love to hear what people liked, what they didn't like. Basically, how can I make the next one as enjoyable for you as possible? So any feedback you can offer, I would greatly appreciate. Last and not least, in the link tree, there is going to be a join the virtual happy hour option. If you click on that, it will bring you straight to Meetaway. And Meetaway has a fantastic little tutorial for people who haven't used it before. It's very simple. You start off by just kind of setting up your profile, which is just name, what you do for business, what you want to talk about with people. It gives you a little 60-second tutorial to teach you how it works. Basically, it matches you up with someone, and you two can talk for about 5 minutes. And then when it gets close to that 5-minute point, there will be a little pop-up that asks if you want to continue that conversation or not. If both people pick yes, then you can keep talking with that person. If someone clicks no or both people click no, then you'll get matched up with someone else. We definitely want you to have that option to stay and talk with people who you're really vibing with, but we also want to make sure that you get around and you get to network with as many people as possible. So you can decide at your own pace when you want to switch and when you want to stay, but all of those are accessible by this QR code. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with some of you.
Awesome. And so if you have the link tree pulled up, you might want to just click refresh in case you don't see the virtual happy hour option yet. So you can click the virtual happy hour link there. You can also get tickets for the next event. Like Josh was saying, the event satisfaction survey is there. If you're a startup and you want to pitch next month, their pitch application is there too. And if you're a sponsor that's interested in sponsoring or partnering with us, there's a link there for you to contact us as well. So we also just posted the link to Meetaway, the virtual happy hour / virtual networking or speed dating networking. It's really cool. In our chats there on Facebook, YouTube, and on Periscope for Twitter. So with that, we are going to conclude this live stream and we will see you all over there very shortly. Nick, any other notes before we kind of wrap up the live stream?
No, great job. Great to see everyone at Founders Live Minneapolis, and don't make it your last.
That's right. Well, thanks everybody for attending, and we'll see you next month.